August 1619, an English ship landed on the shores of Virginia with some African captives aboard. Their arrival 400 years ago began the history of slavery in English-speaking America. The Year of Return in Ghana was an initiative by the government of Ghana to call back home the descendants of our forefathers, our brothers and sisters who were forcefully taken away from Africa via the transatlantic slave trade into different locations in the West. Some of our brothers answered the call, especially African Americans. Yes, you may say they also wanted to make money out of it. Why not? After all, the government of Ghana actually invested heavily in tourism in Ghana. So of course, they will also need to get their benefits. Who wouldn't? Alright, before we proceed, let's go to Nigeria. This year, there was a huge celebration of the Diaspora Festival in Badagry. And this year's festival sought through the fourth door of return. The fourth door of return was celebrated in Badagry between 19th through 21st of October this year. That is, it happened 2 months ago, and it was a thrilling experience with tears rolling up and down as many African Americans came down to Nigeria to witness the historic passage of their ancestors through the point of no return at Badagry. The signage is still there. And again, there is also what we call the Well of Forgetfulness. We will do another story entirely to buttress more on that. But I just quickly wanted to capture that. Okay, and notable African Americans in key sectors in America were there. It wasn't really publicized heavily because they wanted it to be a spiritual journey outside of much paparazzi, and they wanted to concentrate to learn. Also for the sake of security. So it was huge to those that were closer to the area in Lagos, and they've been doing this. Okay, this initiative commenced 2017 to celebrate the rich identity, the culture, the history, the heritage and traditions of a people in their primordial homeland. The emphasis was that the festival encompasses both tangible and intangible cultural resources, serving as a catalyst for the diasporans to reconnect with their roots. The question now is, did Nigeria make the call? Well, not Nigerian governments like governments, but individuals, Nigerians in the diaspora, in different organizations, took up the campaign and decided to move to African American churches to give them a call to go back to Africa and try to reconnect physically with their roots. And I think a lot of people registered, a lot of people tried to identify, the DNA issue came up, ancestral linking came up, and it was really, really positive. Though the event started since 2010, when all this DNA, ancestry, and the rest of them started. However, there was no physical open plea by the government of Nigeria because a lot of focus were on other things. So the Nigerians and the diaspora started making a call, and I know that they were also being backed up by some politicians. So you will say that the government of Nigeria indirectly reached out to the diasporans. Late September through early October in 2019, numerous African Americans came down to Nigeria to celebrate 400 years of first African slaves to arrive in Virginia, US, and majority of them were christened with Nigerian names. Some names were Igbo names, Yoruba names, TV names, depending. Okay, and so most of them also went back to America and joined the various Nigerian communities in America to contribute their quota to the Nigerian society. Now let's go back to Ghana. There has been some discussions on social media and some people strongly agitating that the year of return was a scam. Some time ago, I listened to a podcast narrating some incident that happened in Ghana, and a lot of people were really agitated and expressed their concern. Some were of the opinion that it was actually a scam, and they had their reasons. I listened to the podcast, and one of the persons in the podcast tried to explain to them. However, this person was trolled heavily by these African Americans and even some Africans, okay, who were really bitter, and some Africans in the diaspora who were also bitter. So I feel that the guy was trolled because his points weren't that strong enough to convince them. So I decided to make this video. Is the year of return in Ghana a scam? I don't think so. Were you scammed in Ghana? Maybe. Yes, it happened. Some people, we are told to get this and it didn't work out, like landed properties and other things. However, I want us to talk about it. There lies the dangers of generalizing. And unscrupulous individuals might have taken your money or scammed you of your money. That does not mean that Ghana scammed you. That a man from Cyprus killed your friend does not make every man from Cyprus a murderer. Okay? So, you might be scammed by a Ghanaian or by someone in Ghana. That does not mean that Ghana scammed you. The government of Ghana called you to come. What they told you they would do, they did. You came. The place you wanted to stay, you did stay there. You went to the market, you paid for something, and you got it. Okay? They did not scam you. Ghana did not scam you. The government of Ghana did not scam you. However, you had issues with some individuals. And I'm so sorry about that. Okay? Yes, you have every reason to be agitated and angry. Now let us talk about some things that might have led to this. First, some of you underestimated Africa and Africans. Some of you were mostly being misguided by what you mostly watch on TV. There are so many African sites that you don't see on TV. Most of the times, people from the West used to portray Africa as a place where you see hungry children, that you even give them water to drink and they'll be begging you here and there. Okay, so some of you do come to Africa with the mindset of a savior. Sweethearts, know that. Do you know that some of the people in Africa even live better than those of you in the US? Yes. We do not live in huts. We do not jump at anything you give to us. In the real world of Africans, we are very comfortable. Okay? So, when you are coming to Africa, come well prepared. Like you are going to other parts in the Western world. Okay? Some of you take your time preparing yourself on the weather, the distance, and meeting your African cousins, and you forget to do a thorough research about how the country you are going to visit actually looks like or how it works. Number 2, do you know the functionalities in the said country you want to visit, be it Ghana or anywhere in Africa? How does the country work? You ask yourself, how many days or weeks will I stay in Ghana or in the said African country? Do you have accommodation? Is it an Airbnb or just like a normal hotel? Is it affordable? What about the food? Are you going to eat out all through? Do you have a friend in Ghana who will help you to prepare some dishes? If you decide to eat in the hotel, it will be very expensive. So, do you have any plans to make once you enter Ghana in order to sustain yourself? Now, sweetheart, do not overspend and do not be extravagant in spending. Not every person you see in GH that helps you will you tip? You heard me very well. Ensure you have enough money on you until you are ready to go. Okay? So that you will not get frustrated. Also, the choices of food is limited in GH and also in other parts of Africa. Okay? If you go to America, you have a lot of varieties of dishes. You have Italian, you have this, you have anything you want. But in Africa, you have mostly African dishes, and few places do sell intercontinental dishes like Chinese, Italian dishes. So you do not really have much of a choice. That is another issue. Okay, so make proper plans when coming to Ghana. Okay, also do know that in most parts of Africa, during festive seasons, things tend to be expensive. We say it is seasonal prices. So it has nothing to do with you coming back as in the year of return. Yes, it may add. However, every December, there is always an increase in prices of goods in the market all across Africa. Okay, I know about Ghana and I know about Nigeria. Okay, also there is also this thing of when you see a foreigner, even if the person is African or non-African, as long as the person is foreign to the land, price of things might be a bit pricey. So you need certain things. That is why you need to make arrangements for a local guide. Okay, you learn basic local language like Chi. If you are in Ghana, you can learn Swahili. If you are in Kenya, you can learn some local languages depending on the country you are visiting. Okay, try your best to sound local. Do not go overboard with your pronunciation of the local language. For instance, Medase. Do not go about saying Medase. Don't let everybody know that you are an African American. Do not form. Be humble. Be simple. Okay? Learn basic prices of things. No one will know except you tell them that you're a foreigner. After all, we're the same people of color. Number 3, take your time to explore Ghana and ask deep questions. Then prepare yourself, go back to your country. When you go back to your country, you'll be able to recuperate. Then come back to Ghana when it's not festive season. Okay? There are other cities in Ghana apart from Accra. We have Takrady, Kumasi. There are so many beautiful cities that are very calm. People go back to their normal day-to-day activities after festive seasons. And then you can start a survey. At that point in time, you get a hint on how things truly works in Ghana. Number 4, investment in landed properties or real estate. My dear people, I want you to listen to me very well, because this is actually one of the key factors that is causing this issue. In terms of landed property, Ghana practices what is called a pluralistic legal system, which means that both the customary and the statutory system overlap. What it simply means is that the great majority of the land in Ghana is held informally under customary tenure system. Did you understand that? Article 266 of 1992 Constitution of Ghana's Land Acts reveals that rights or interest over land shall vest only in the citizens of Ghana. This simply means that as a foreigner, the Constitution of Ghana prohibits foreigners from owning a land, and it will be leased to you for 50 years only as a non-Ghanaian, while indigenes have 99 years of ownership. Did you understand? A foreigner, before you think of buying land in Ghana, know that there is always land litigation, where landowners will sell a particular plot of land to multiple people, and this will result to issues, court cases. And in Africa, let me be honest with you, settling issues relating to land is not always easy. Sometimes 5 years. If you have strong attorney, maybe 3 years. When they want to sell a land to you, try to find out, is the land customary land? Is it government land? Is it vested land? Is it family land or private land? Very careful when a private land is being presented to you, because most of the lands in Ghana are either customary or government or vested or family lands. So most of the private owners may not be selling. So be very careful to avoid being scammed. Did you understand what I am saying? Good. Now, if you want to buy any land, there are titles you should look out for. Is it a freehold? Is it allodial or leasehold? These are three main titles. Now, if it is a freehold, check if it is a freehold customary or common law. Now, both the customary and common law are very similar. Customary is mostly the land for indigenes that are being allotted to families that are indigenous to the community. Common law can also be allocated to the indigenes and also people from other communities that are still Ghanaian citizens only. Allodial is the highest legally recognized land title in Ghana, and it is mostly being possessed by the traditional leaders, families, and government only. Now we have leasehold. Leasehold will detail a specific start and end dates, subject to payment of your annual ground rent and other things. Okay, the agreement, the names of the parties involved. Okay, so a family or the customary people or the clan leader or the traditional ruler who holds the allodial title or an individual customary holder can grant you a leasehold as a foreigner. So as a foreigner, you are entitled to a leasehold because the land is not yours. Do not allow yourself to be lured into buying any land from a private seller without going to Ghana Land Commission to investigate. Get the plan of the land and hire a licensed surveyor so that you will not make a terrible mistake. However, the best way to acquire properties in Ghana is through real estate. Ask questions and ensure that you buy a property from a well-known developer who is a member of the Ghana Real Estate Developers Association. At least such a person will have vast experience. For those in Nigeria, I want you to know that all lands belongs to the government, and so you must obtain the consent of the governor, which is the final consent you need for your ownership of a land. And I also want to let you know that in Nigeria, foreigners obtain leasehold while indigenes of Nigeria obtain freehold. Okay, so what it simply means that as a foreigner, if you buy a property in Nigeria, you are entitled to that property for a leasehold of 99 years. Nigeria does not really differentiate between foreigners and citizens. Anyone can come into Nigeria and buy a property without even residing in Nigeria. But make sure that the land is not an acquisition land from government, especially a committed acquisition. This means that the land is either for agriculture, drainage, construction of canal, school, airport, etc. If you buy that land, no matter how long it takes, government will demolish it without paying you any compensation. Some of these sellers are aware and they scam innocent Nigerians, especially businessmen, of their hard-earned money only for their developed structures to be marked for demolition. Before you buy a land, get your own licensed surveyor. Also, there are community lands that state governments acquired from traditional people or from the community for a purpose, and later they returned it back to the community. The community leaders will now want to share the land amongst their families or their sons. Such land will enter a cession file because government has excised the land and given it back to the community. Now the file will be taken to the Surveyor General's office to be properly documented with the size and the reason or why it was acquired in the first place. Every information about that land will be stated and it becomes a gazette. And then the owner of this properties will proceed and get the C of O. Now there is another thing. If your husband or brother-in-law died without a will, please go and obtain what we call the letter of administration. Or if he has a will, go and obtain a grant of probate. These two documents, you can get either of them. Makes your son or your nephew the legal owner of the land in case there is someone in the family that wants to take that land. Also, some documents have court judgments Okay, this means that the land was settled in court and the current holder of the court judgment won the case. Okay, so please be informed so that no one will scam you. No matter the document presented to you, when you check the titles on the document, you'll be able to realize the history of the land. And no matter the document presented, try to find out how genuine it is from the government. I wish you well. Like I said earlier, the year of return in Ghana is not a scam. I had to take my time to explain everything for clarification. And I hope that someone out there will find this information useful both in Ghana and in Nigeria. Once again, I wish you good luck.